I'm gonna have to watch this back at some point. Normal intro. Hello to the side and back. My name is Tokika Uzuru, also known as Toki. Okay. So this stream specifically is gonna, but in stream form. As the title has suggested, it is about specifically that saying actually life. So as per the usual, I have written down everything I wanted to go ahead and say because my brain is already filled with a whole bunch of stuff that's not necessary. As per the usual, there is a back. So if you hear me flipping pages, that's why. The first thing I'm going to start off with is the fact that the phrase is often used incomplete. As per the usual, there's always a lot left out when it comes to sayings like this. The full saying, at least the way it was explained to me, is blood of the blood of the, and it's the idea that the bonds that you make, that you choose, and when I ended up learning about that and reflected on exactly what that would mean for me, it made so much more sense. Because I have learned through my own personal experience that sometimes don't really know what's best for you at best and can be unintentionally toxic at worst. Now, I do believe that this is the main reason why a lot of people around my age, as of streaming this, I am 23, so keep that in mind. Possibly older, possibly younger, and often get ridiculed for doing that. Mostly by people of quote unquote, the main ones that are actually negatively getting affected by them by being cut off, and trying to go ahead and, as I would say, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss them back into the old habit of just allowing toxic behaviors in their lives. And along with that I shared at the beginning of this, there are other things that they try to use in their arsenal of keeping the person staying in line. Another one that is often used is friendships and relationships end, but family is forever. And this is true. The friendships that you make throughout your life and the relationships that you end up creating throughout your life do have the ability to end. But more often than not, you're able to blood related to. And if you've been around your family for a really long time, and you're just now getting to this point where you're like, okay, So it's not that they were meaning to go ahead. It's not that I was a bad person. It's not that they were meaning to go ahead and treat me badly. Now you have to go ahead and sit at what would be classified as a crossroads. Do you continue down and hope that they end up in, depending on exactly how said family works? That's just going to end up leaving you disappointed at best? Or do you make the choice of creating boundaries that specific behaviors toward you or even around your vicinity, around your space? There we go. Being blood related does not excuse bad, negative, abusive, or toxic. And want to go ahead and have to deal with that every time. Way to go ahead and avoid having to feel like that. The third one is their family. They mean well. And this is the main reason as to why I said, at worst, unintentionally toxic. I personally want to go ahead and believe that people don't inherently do bad things because they want to do bad things. As J Hope said in his song Stop, he also believes that there are no bad people in the world. And I personally like going off of that philosophy. But if they do mean well, then me bringing up the fact that their actions toward me is affecting me negatively and trying to create a conversation in which they can still help, but without negatively affecting me, then I can't accept their behavior in general. I've done a video previously talking about intentions versus impact and how, though you may mean well with your actions, that doesn't always equate to a positive impact. And the way I see it, maturity is being able to accept that it didn't work out that way. Taking accountability for the fact that it didn't work out the way that you originally meant it to, and then apologizing for it. Doing a proper apology, explain and not excuse your actions itself should be an entire different topic, but that is not what we are here for. And honestly, this would end up being a lot longer than I originally anticipated. I still have to go ahead and take classes after I do this, so I can't. Do mean well, and it doesn't work out that way. Just stop and once again have a conversation with whoever you've affected with said behavior. But if you're not willing to, at the very least, hear the other person out and take into consideration the fact that your action specifically has negatively affect them, if you mean well, then there's definitely no point and continue to have a person like that in my life. If you do mean well, then me asking you to change your behavior shouldn't paint me in a bad light, especially if said behavior is directly negatively affecting me. And I have asked you at the very least. I still have that up. Pop. Done. And lock. Now, my main reason as to why I've gotten to this point where it's just like, as much as I personally do love my family, I am also willing to cut off anyone. Cut off? Again, that sounds very aggressive. No longer interact with said people. And that's because of several reasons. I wrote down three. One, I believe that I deserve to receive what I give out, energy wise, classified as equivalent exchange. Now, I've already gotten to the point where I'm able to understand my family shows love in many different ways. And though they mean well, because they do show love in many different ways, a lot of the time, the love seems to feel lackluster. It, so now I have to go ahead and think about whether I would be willing to wait it out or whether it'd be time for me to cut my losses and move on in that sense. Because if I'm not feeling love the way that I love, and I love with my full heart intensely, then I end up feeling drained. And then we have to go ahead and start thinking about whether I'm just being uh, physical, which is again a completely different topic that I don't want to get into because we will be here forever. Number two, my core values specifically might not align with the rest of my family's. And instead of being in a room where I feel like I have to change what my core values are, I would rather be able to say that and this is also not me being clear, is if it doesn't align with mine, and if I feel like I'm the one in the wrong, when I've already gone through the reflective, looked further into ourselves, and we did that hermit mode. Definitely, I think the best way for me to explain it is being going back in a cave. Oh my gosh, my brain is trying to figure out what I was saying. The core values that I have is what I found going through said reflective moment. And they're trying to tell me that my core values are wrong when I've never said that theirs were. That's only creating more conflict, and I'm not about to go ahead and be around for that. Because it's the entire idea of, but I'm also not saying that I'm wrong either. There can be two different rights in this situation. Number three, one of the main things that I've had to go ahead and think about, and honestly, is if I fear speaking out or telling about my experiences, then I believe that there's a problem. I've always been a person that uh, thought around my family, I'm constantly reminded that they don't think as much as I do, or they don't think about as much as I do for as long as I do. And for a long time, that had me thinking that in a negative way, I was overthinking. I was thinking too much. But anytime I tried to do things without uh, thinking thinking about it first, often I would regret said decision. I was trying not to think about it at all and just do it. Now there are moments in which I do just, I forgot the word. Oh my gosh. Instinctively act on things and just immediately do things or immediately go for things. But I've also learned that is okay. And there are times where you do have to sit down and think about it. And what I'm trying to say here is the reason why it took me so long to go ahead and talk about this specific topic is because I was afraid of what would happen if I did. And it's not like I'm still not afraid of what would happen if I'm talking about this right now. But I've gotten to a point where the need to talk about it is superseding the fear that I have about what would happen afterwards. In conclusion, this is probably the best way for me to sum up this entire thing. One, it's not that I hate my family in general. I personally don't like generalizing things because there are goods and there are bads and there's exceptions to things. But if I'm talking, I love my family generally, genuinely, and generally. I just that type of those type of behaviors, especially if I do not have the ability to, if they could not, without having to go ahead and get reprimanded for something. I'm a person that has. I'm a person that is typically thinking about uh, temporarily handling the. And if there's no conversation to go ahead and try to figure out exactly what the root of the problem is, then I won't be able to do anything on my end to fix their pile of just random stuff from cleaning. And it's just like things like trash, clothes, just everything. And I want to go ahead and be able to sort through it to see what I would want to go ahead and keep and what we can throw out, what can be recycled, or what could be used for something else in either the dumpster. One definitely takes a lot less time and energy, but you end up losing a lot more. While the other one takes a lot more time and energy, but you keep a lot more. And honestly, feel a lot more satisfied because you're not over here looking for something that you didn't think that you threw away, but again, it was in the pile that you either pushed to the side or threw out. With set an example of the things that I will not be tolerating. Regardless of focusing, three of my main core values is authenticity, integrity, and I only ask the same. Yeah, that's it. Okay. The fun after stopping the stream, calm down from being this serious. I do have getting too stressed out about and just like not focus on anything. This is what it's like to live in my mind. But yeah, with all that being said, a few things. One, yesterday I made cheesy bread. It's really good. Also ended up making a homemade pizza using salsa as the tomato sauce. That was really good. I made blueberry muffins this morning. And though they did not taste like the store bought blueberry muffins, they still tasted really good. So now I'm getting back into the headspace. We are back in baking business. Oh, learning Korean class course. So that's why I said I still have classes after this. Because I have class for myself is 3 days out of the week yesterday, and I promised myself I quizzes we need to go ahead and get done by the 27th, I believe. So we just went through the spring equinox, which is probably the reason why I ended up baking 2 days in a row, and none of it was on Sunday. Uh, the context of this video the content of this video itself was one of the main things I ended up having to deal with mostly this week, and it's just been like coming off is definitely really good for my brain because I can either focus on the music or like just space brain and not think about anything until something comes to my brain. But I'm not going to do that for too long. Again, we got stuff to do, and I'm tired. Having to keep myself strong. I might be taking a nap today. That it. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and actually end the stream now. So yeah, that's it. If I need to explain anything else, I say I guess as in I'm not going to be the one that's putting together things. We are just creatures of habit. Well, while I wish you the best start to your spring, I will also end the stream by saying that I don't really understand exactly how creepy that was. We're moving on. This is Tokika Uzuru signing off.